Hi everyone, my name is Pranav and I'm one of the coaches for the SWC Python Club. Today we're going to take a look at our second workshop lesson, and this time we're going to actually get started on our main game project this time. It's going to be a text adventure game, and for those that don't know what a text adventure game is, it's basically choose your own adventure game style where the user or the player is presented with a bunch of choices, which when they select, they're led down different paths due to that choice. This is the first part of the lesson, and Liam, another coach, will be taking part of the second part next time. So let's get started. You can click the plus button or the new REPL button right here on the left after you've logged in, and you don't necessarily need to log in. That's only if you want to save your progress. But so after you click the plus button, you need to select the Python language, select a name for your REPL. In this case, I'm going to do text adventure. Make sure that works, and I'm just going to create REPL. So now to get started with the actual text adventure game, we're going to be looking at two main components of Python today: input and print. So for those that watched Andre's previous video last week about print is used to basically deliver information or text from the code into the console, which is here on the right. So we need to print a lot of stuff in this game because it's primarily going to be through text. For starters, let's just print a few basic guidelines and few basic announcement, that sort of thing for our game. So we're going to start off with a welcome message, something like this. It can be anything you really want, but we're just going to keep it basic and say something like welcome to the text adventure game. To showcase that this works, let's just quickly run this by hitting the run button right here on the top, and as you can see in the console we get this welcome message. Next up, let's just print some sort of situation for our text adventure game. Once again, this can be anything you really want. This time we're gonna do the traditional RPG / adventure game style where the player is lost in a cave with a few materials, and then the player can decide what they want to do from there. So for example, we could do something like so this could be our situation right here, and once again if we run, so it's printed out, right? And after this, let's just print a quick space so we have a bit of gap. You can do that by just typing out print without any string in the middle. And for just a quick note, we'll cover this later, but a string is basically just a form of text. Anyway, right now we just did a blank print statement right here, so we get an extra gap in the text. And now let's actually present the user some choices on what they want to do. So first, let's just ask them, what do you do in this situation? I mean, just add the double quotation mark right there. And now we're going to just present some choices that they can select. So here we're just once again printing out a couple of choices for the user to select in our game. And as I said earlier, the way the game works is that the user can select a choice and different things happen based on the choice that they select. But now we're at a point where we've basically presented these choices, but we need to actually get input from the user where they can actually select a choice. The way we're going to do this is through another function called input. We'll cover functions later, but for now all you need to know is that they're basically things in Python that do other things. That's a pretty bad explanation, but let's just keep going. So what we need to do is type out input and add in these two parentheses, very similarly to how we've been using the print function thus far. And inside of the inputs parentheses, we can add another set of double quotation marks where we can actually ask a question to the user. Here, let's just remove this print statement right here and actually put it down here. So we're actually asking a question to the user here, which they can respond to. What do you do? And they'll be able to type a certain number, 1, 2, or 3, which can correspond with their choice. So this is all really, like as I said at the start, you can actually really pick whatever text you want in your game, and you can pick the choices that the user is presented with as well. Here we pick 3, but you can pick like 5, 10, however many you want, or just 1 or 2. It's all up to you. And this text right here for our question too, it can be whatever you want, but it would need like a number as the input, at least for the game we're trying to make. So right now, if I were to run this, we get all the text that we have posted using the print function into the console. And here, if you notice that the cursor has stopped right here, that means we can actually type something right here as our choice using this input function. So right now, if I were to type something like 1, it wouldn't actually do anything, because right now all we've done is get the input from the user but not actually use it anywhere. So to actually use the input somewhere, we would need to use something called a variable. And as for what a variable is, right now you can think of it as storage, or like a box where you can store data. In this case, we want to store what the user's response is, but you can store anything else in Python really, such as numbers, booleans, which are sort of like true or false values, decimal numbers, and much more. For now, the way we're going to actually store this input response within a variable is by typing out a variable name, and this name can be whatever you want. Once again, in this case I'm going to type out like choice, and then just add an equal sign, and then if you want you can add a space as well, just to make it look better. But right now, just to explain what this is doing, this part right here is asking the user, what do you do in this situation right here in our game, and you have the option to type 1, 2, or 3. And right here is our choice variable, which we're storing the response in. I hope that makes sense, but we will go much more in depth into what variables are, and the other types of variables, other type of data that you can store in variables in future lessons, so look forward to that. Right now, there's still one other thing we need to do with this, and that is to actually put int at the start, add another parentheses, add another left parentheses, and add another right parentheses at the end of this line. What this is going to do is cast the response into an integer so we can use it more easily in Python. Otherwise, it would still be in the form of text, and this concept is pretty confusing at the start right now because we're still pretty new to data types. But once we get more into strings, I think we should be able to explain that then. But for now, we've gotten their input, and in the next lesson we're going to take a look at what we're going to do with this input and present them different things based on what choice they've selected. But for now, just to prove that the input actually works, let's just print it back to the user. Instead of the double parentheses and the double quotation marks and the text inside. So what this is going to do is print the value inside of the variable, Now if I were to hit run, I could type the choice I want right here, and it would basically print it back on the next line. If I were to run again and choose a different choice, like 3, it would print that back. And I think that's it for this lesson. Thank you for watching.